Welcome into PTN Extra. As always, I'm Evan Kamiko. That is Mike Irwin. We've got a action-packed show for you this weekend. Plenty to talk about. We'll start at least with basketball. Coach Cal and company have that Sweet 16 rematch coming up this weekend in Dallas against Texas Tech. Then Arkansas head gymnastics coach Jordyn Wieber sits down with me. That's coming up as well, and then we'll finish up with some football and Ryan Silverfield talk. But Mike, let's get into this matchup between Arkansas and Texas Tech. Without any further from me talking, people want to hear what you got to say about this matchup. How exciting is it to go down to Dallas for this basketball team and try to get another marquee non-con win?
You know, the schedule is tough, but you got to get some good wins. And you know, the Louisville win was good. You don't need to lose this game. You don't need to go down to on a neutral site. Now, I noticed that Cal was saying that he'd been impressed with the number of Razorback fans in the Dallas area, and he wanted them all to come out because Texas Tech will have some fans there too. It's actually not that much closer to Lubbock than it is to Fayetteville, so I think Arkansas might dominate that in terms of crowd. Razorback fans. This is the second largest group of Razorback fans, or the largest group of Razorback fans outside the state of Arkansas are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So I think it'll help to have the crowd there, but still it'll be viewed as a neutral site game, and they need to win it. Now, this is not a great Texas Tech team, might not be quite as good as they were last year. They're middle of the pack right now in a lot of the statistics in the Big 12, eighth with a 7-2 record. 81 points a game, giving up 70. Their field goal shooting is not fantastic, around 36%. That's eighth in the Big 12, but they're really good defensively. So they will come out and try to limit Arkansas on threes. They're holding teams to under 30% three-point shooting. Where they're good is they're good in rebounding. They got a big guy that averages 11.5 rebounds a game, and he's number one in the Big 12. And Arkansas's bigs are going to have to step up. This is a game in which the bigs need to step up.
Yeah.
And you can rotate him on this guy. But he's averaging 11.5 rebounds a game. He's averaging 20.8 points a game. That is third in the Big 12. So I think, as always, I think Arkansas's guards will be important. I think the two freshman guards are anytime Arkansas wins a game, you look, and they're the ones that are doing the scoring. But I do think this is a game in which your bigs are going to have to step up. Trevin Brazile can't disappear in this game. You need to continue to get points out of Ewing, and I think Pringle needs to rebound in this game.
Yeah, it's going to be really important. Like you kind of mentioned, you're talking about JT Toppin. Look, you saw Toppin last year, and to your point, you know, you've got these two teams right now. Texas Tech is ranked 16th. Arkansas is ranked 17th. So I think it's fair to say that they are probably a step down, this Texas Tech team, of where they were last year when you saw them in the Sweet 16. Darian Williams is no longer a Red Raider. He is now at NC State with Will Wade. So you've got Toppin and Christian Anderson, who Anderson's been spectacular. He just put up 27 points on LSU the other night. But this Texas Tech team, they don't have a marquee win yet. They've played two really good teams and already, and one of them last month being Purdue. The other one was Illinois. They lost both of those games. The Illinois game was a lot closer than the Purdue game. Purdue at the time beat them by 30. So it's a Texas Tech team that's been up and down. They're coming off a win 82-58 against LSU. But let's talk about this from the Arkansas side of things, because you kind of mentioned right there how important it is for the bigs to get going. What would you like to see early in this game from Nick Pringle or Malik Ewing that would let you and Hog fans at home know, okay, these guys are locked in today in Dallas?
Yeah, I'd like to see Ewing continue to score. I would like to see them get the ball to him. I would like to see him dish some assists out too, because he can do that. And then Pringle's just got a rebound. He's just hasn't been what they thought up to this point. I don't think they thought he was going to come in and score a lot of points, but they did feel like he would rebound better than he has. So I'd like to see him rebound. But again, it's just important for Trevin Brazile not to have these off nights. Now, he can have an off night, you know, against a Fresno, and it doesn't get you beat. But come on, in this game, he can't disappear. He can't score 8 points. He's got to be up there close to his average, and he's got to be in there rebounding. He's got to be physical. He's gone up against this guy, so he needs to get in there and mix it up.
Yeah, there's familiarity, I think, with TB as well as JT Toppin. It was a fun battle when the two were guarding each other back in that March Madness game a couple of months ago. But as for some of these guards, for the freshmen, right? Like, we can say all we want about Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas because they've been so good all the time. I think both of them are averaging in double-digit points. But when you look at DJ Wagner, I think he's somebody who really hasn't had a breakout game yet. And Carter Knox, who's looking to get going. And these guys who played in the Sweet 16 last year, Billy Richmond as well. What would, in your opinion, it mean for these guys to get a win and to kind of get some revenge for when things didn't go right and they got knocked out last season?
There's no question that they're going to go down there with a lot of motivation based on what happened. That's why Texas Tech is on the schedule. They knocked us out. Let's show we're better than we were a year ago. So it is important. Billy Richmond, really good, then really weird. He's got to be more consistent. We know what he can do when he's on, but just don't make the mistakes that we see him make sometimes. Carter Knox, he's got to be better. He's had a couple of nice games, but he's not been what they thought he would be, and he needs to step up in this game. Wagner, I don't think he has to play great, but he's got to be effective. That's all I'm saying. You can't play Acuff all the time. So again, if it's a good, well-rounded effort by all these guys, they'll win the game. I don't think there's any question. And I think it might not be a home court advantage, but I expect the crowd to be more for Arkansas than Texas Tech.
Yeah, I went to this game last year when Arkansas played in Dallas. That time it was against Baylor, and there was a really good showing from Arkansas fans. And I think, is Waco closer to Dallas than?
Oh, Waco's a lot closer than
Lubbock is?
Lubbock.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Lubbock's about 5 hours away.
Yeah, and there was a really good Baylor crowd there, but Arkansas felt like they had the edge. It feels like it's probably going to be that same way again this year, but again, I'm wondering if you know this, because I don't off the top of my head. Will Billy Richmond, because of the flagrant 2, will he have to sit out for the first half of this game?
I don't know that we've seen that, right?
I have not.
But
maybe there's going to be some kind of disciplinary action for Billy's actions in the second half against Fresno.
Yeah, I'm not sure. That has not been addressed as far as I know.
Hey, let us know in the comments if you know that. We're trying to figure that out anyway while we're here on PTN Extra. But it's kind of funny because it feels like it's starting to get time, right? Arkansas, you really have one more marquee matchup after this game, and that is, of course, against Houston the following weekend in New York. So you've got 2 more kind of big-name games coming up on the non-conference schedule. Where would you be happy with Arkansas's record if they can win one of these games or if they can go 2-0? I'm sure 0-2 doesn't really put you where you want to be, but are you happy with just going 1-1 over the next 2 good non-con games? Not saying Queens and James Madison won't be good games, but more so of the ranked matchups coming up before conference play.
I think of all this tough non-conference schedule, the better teams that they're going to play, I would say if you win half of them, you got to feel pretty good. If you get a little over 500, that's even better.
Yeah, who's the player this weekend that you really want to see step up?
Trevin Brazile. He can't vanish. He can't. I expect those 2 freshmen to play well. I've come to depend on them. People have said, oh, they're trying to do too much. What are you talking about? They're the best 2 guys on the team, honestly. They're both first-round picks at the end of this year. I don't know about lottery, but they're up there. And they're one-and-dones unless something happens, and they're good, and you don't win games without them playing well. So come on. I mean, stop worrying about what they do. They are going to take over at times because that's what each one of them has the ability to do.
Yeah, but TB really has to be the one to step up. If they want to stay in the paint with them, of course, Texas Tech averages, like you've already mentioned, more boards per game. Curious, before we go to break, do you think we'll see a little bit of Isaiah Seeley worked in more this weekend?
Well, Cal said he wanted to play him more, and he's looking for ways to play him more. So I think it depends on how the game goes.
I think so as well. Well, Mike, that's going to do it for us right now. When we come back, we head out to the gymnastics arena, and we'll sit down with Arkansas head coach Jordyn Wieber. That's coming up after this. PTN Extra returns after the break. Excited to be joined alongside Arkansas gymnastics coach Jordyn Wieber. Jordyn, thanks for sitting down with us. Let's start from kind of the end of last year. It felt like, as great as the end of the season was, getting to regionals the second year, the team at last year, just injuries felt like it really kind of rolled onto you guys. You lost Lauren Williams early in the season. Frankie goes down. Leah Smith goes down. How would you assess kind of the end of last year as he geared up towards 2026?
Yeah, I think, the narrative, the story of our year was how do we overcome adversity, which we did that a lot, whether it was injuries or just some different things that happened throughout the season. It really felt like, hey, finishing number 12 in the country, we really maximized our potential as a team, and we figured out a way to replace some scores, get some amazing things done, and finish in the top 12, even with losing some big-time players, and Leah Smith, Lauren Williams, Frankie Price went down, Reese Strotar, so some big scores that we had to replace, but I felt like the team did an incredible job stepping up and figuring out a way to finish the season on a really strong note.
Yeah, it was fun to watch the regional final and see kind of those young faces step up who you've kind of built this program through, some of the youngins, but we'll get there. And then after the season ends, you have a little girl, Gigi. How's she doing? How's the family?
She's doing good. She's 6 months old now. She's the cutest thing in the entire world. Of course, I think that because I'm her mom, but it's just been a really fun transition in life of kind of pairing being the best coach I can be with being the best mom I can be and figuring out that work-life balance. But I feel like we're doing it really well, and I'm excited.
I was going to say, how does that kind of perception change of being, so young when you got here to now being a mom and having a family? How does that kind of influence you coaching in 2026?
Yeah, well, I feel like I've lived every phase of life while I've been here in Fayetteville, stepping in as a young 23-year-old first-time head coach and kind of building up this program to getting married to having our first child, which has been really fun. And I am just so grateful to have this kind of Fayetteville community and Arkansas community surrounding us as we go through all these phases. And I will say, I think being a mom is definitely making me a better coach. I think it gives me a lot of different perspective, and a lot of the time before I had Gigi, I felt like I already had 20 daughters. I still do. They're just a very different age. And so it's been fun to kind of bring her into the fold with all of our amazing student athletes who are just great role models for her.
From the, late teenage years, early 20s to diapers, I bet that's probably a whirlwind of trying to figure out what's what.
Different problems for sure.
Absolutely, but gotta love it. Anyway, let's talk about kind of this year. And I think everybody at home knows you've got one of the best gymnasts in the country coming back, Jocelyn Robertson, going to be a sophomore this year. What excites you about her development in year 2 on the hill?
Yeah, well, she obviously came out really strong her freshman year, just really excited to be a college gymnast. I think everyone saw that on the competition floor. She was able to put up some really great all-around performances and do some great things for the team, but also make it to NCAA Nationals as an individual. What a lot of people don't know is in the off-season, she was training back on the elite side and made the World Championship team, competed in Indonesia back in October. So she's really doing it all, and it's just kind of shifting gears back to her college season and is excited for year 2.
How involved were you kind of in her off-season development a little bit?
Well, most of her training and all the competitions she went to, we had Chris Brooks, my assistant coach, travel with her and coach her. He really is equipped with all of the technical knowledge and the knowledge of the elite code to be the best coach for her. Normally, I would be involved in that as well. I was a little bit more at home with the baby this summer, but obviously watching from afar and kind of managing things from afar.
Let's talk about now 2026. It's a new team, new season. Some of the really good new faces. One of them, familiar last name to a lot of fans in the Price family. You get Morgan Price now coming over. How cool is that to see kind of now sisters being on the team together?
It is the coolest thing. I mean, Morgan has had 3 amazing seasons with Fisk and has been a 6-time national champion in the division that they compete in. But she called me over the summer and said, hey, Coach Wieber, is there any chance I could come to Arkansas for my final season? And I just thought about it for about half a second and said, absolutely. And I think we had one phone call, and it was for sure she's coming back to Arkansas. So we're excited to have her, and obviously seeing her and Frankie together. They're so different. Most people don't even know they're sisters when they see them, but when you see Morgan compete and then you see Frankie compete, you will see a lot of the similarities as far as their performance quality and just how exciting they are to watch, how competitive they are.
I'm sure the floor rotation will be a lot of fun seeing 2 Prices back to back. Everyone knows what Frankie can do, but I'm sure seeing Morgan there as well will be really exciting.
For sure. She's got a fun floor routine.
Absolutely. Kind of to look at the rest of the roster in 26, you get healthy again. You have some new faces, smaller freshman class, somebody from Arkansas as well. I know Lauren was the first one that you really recruited out of this area, and now you're also adding Riley Jandorf as well. What does it mean for young girls in this state that you're going out and recruiting in this neck of the woods some of the best athletes to come to Arkansas? Yeah,
well, there are not very many gymnastics clubs in the state of Arkansas, but there's one locally here that we've had Lauren Williams. She's come from that club, and now Riley, who is just she's just awesome. She's really fun. She's an incredible floor specialist. I expect to see her on that event this season. But imagine, you're a little young gymnast from the state of Arkansas, not to mention Northwest Arkansas, and you see someone like Riley or someone like Lauren out there competing, living out their dream. It's such a great model for these young ones that are doing gymnastics in our state. So I love it.
And I think it doesn't hurt as well when you look at the TV schedule. You guys will be on national TV 3 times this season again. How does that even add into what you just kind of answered right there of how important it is to grow the sport of gymnastics?
Yeah, well, you said it. It is really important for us to continue growing the sport of gymnastics. And I think those that have kind of watched the journey of Arkansas gymnastics over the last 10, 15 years have seen the way our sport on this campus has really morphed and changed and grown to now it's the highest attended women's sport on our campus. And we're just so grateful for the community and the fans that gather around us for that.
What are some of the familiar faces for people at home that you're excited to see take a step forward in 2026?
Yeah, well, I think having Lauren Williams back, that's huge for us. I mean, we missed her on floor and vault last year. She's an incredible leader for us in so many different ways. So she's back. She's looking better than ever. She's also looking really strong on beam, so we may see her on 3 events this year. We also have Leah Smith back, who was in for part of the season last year, but was out for the second half when we needed her. And so she ended up being able to have another year of eligibility. So we're excited to have Leah back, another strong floor and vault, but also bar contender for us. Frankie, hopefully back from her injury that she sustained right at the end of last season. We're excited about that. Gosh, we've got an incredible freshman who is set to compete in the all-around, Allison Cucci. She's from Minnesota and was just dominant in the junior ranks, and she's here ready to go, looking really strong on all 4 events. So we're looking to have at least 3 or 4 different all-around competitors, which is something we've not been able to say as a program. We had Jocelyn last year. We had 1 all-arounder. Now we might have 3 or 4. So that's huge for our program. That just shows the strength of our recruiting class and just the team so far.
2 more before we let you get out of here and before we toss off to break. For you personally, how have you, changed and grown since your beginning in Arkansas to where you are now?
Oh my gosh, I think I've changed and grown in so many ways for the better. I think I've learned a lot about how to be a great leader and how to continue to grow our culture in ways that we need to grow it in order to be more competitive, because I'm the type of coach that I believe culture comes first and then the wins come after that. And so as we've started to win more and more, I want to see that culture continue to grow and build upon it. Our leadership is stronger than ever. Our coaching staff is the best in the country. So I'm really excited about what we can accomplish this season. I think it's going to be our best season yet.
Last one for you. I love that final answer. How would you describe this team in 1 word?
Oh, in 1 word, I would describe this team as competitive.
I think fans are going to love seeing a competitive edge out on the floor this year. Big thanks to Coach Wieber for joining the show. We'll be right back after this.
Back here on PTN Extra, wrapping up shop. Big thanks to Jordyn Wieber for joining us. I'm Evan Camico. That is Mike Irwin. Mike, some football news going on with Ryan Silverfield's staff, and the big one of the day, it involves a familiar face to the Arkansas program. Deron Wilson is going to be returning as a DB's coach under Ron Roberts and this Arkansas coaching staff on the defensive side. What do you make of seeing that familiar face who was here in 2023 coaching under Sam Pittman back for 2026?
Yeah, that was a bad year. That was a 4-win season, but that secondary was the bright spot that year. And there are a lot of people reacting negatively because they're associating him with that team and they're not paying attention to what happened that year. He basically, I think Arkansas had like 4 pick sixes that year. Mm-hmm. 4. That's pretty impressive. They had 12 picks that year, 12 interceptions. So this was a cornerback group that was pretty good, and especially compared to what we've seen since. Now, he went off to become a defensive coordinator, then very quickly ended up on Florida's staff, and that's why he's back here. Why is he important to what's going on, what we think is going to happen this fall? Because your defensive coordinator has a reputation of disguising what he's doing. And they will bring multiple players up and have a massive number of people on the front. But they're not all going to stay there. Mm-hmm. Certain numbers at the snap of the ball are going to drop back into coverage, and you don't know where a blitz is coming from. That makes it difficult for opposing quarterbacks, opposing offensive linemen. But the key to that, you can't do that if you've got guys dropping back into that kind of coverage if they're not good at zone coverage. And what was Arkansas this year in zone coverage? They were horrible.
Yeah.
So he's got to come in and make that better. And you don't just do that by yourself. They're going to have to bring people in that can do that. Mm-hmm. So I expect to see some portal when we get to January. I expect to see some people brought in the secondary that can do that. Maybe some linebackers that can do that. Yeah. that can get back in zone coverage, short zone coverage. Because, again, if you're moving up, then back, who's moving back here, who's moving back there, who's going over here, who's coming in with a blitz? Whoever's back there in zone coverage has to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And zone coverage is no good. You're going to get burned if you're not good at it.
And maybe we can even see some defensive linemen dropping into zone coverage. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but potentially some ends and Mike linebackers that could drop back in coverage as well. So interesting hire to make out of that. As we kind of round out Ryan Silverfield's staff, what's kind of your overall thoughts on it before we talk some Hunter Yurachek in a second?
Well, we continue to get some people that are saying, wait a minute, you said this was going to be, you were going to be amazed. I don't know I've long forgotten what term he used. Blown away, maybe blown away. But when you see who this staff is, well, the problem with that is he didn't say you're going to be blown away by names. He didn't say, I'm going to go out and take Ohio State's offensive coordinator away from them. I'm going to go get Georgia's defensive coordinator. He didn't say stuff like that. He just said you're going to be blown away. And I think what he meant was, when I bring people in that are familiar with what I'm doing and we all work together, you're going to see that it makes a big difference when the whole staff is on the same page and the head coach knows what they're going to do. I think he's doing the same thing on the defensive side of the ball. I think he brought in a defensive coordinator that mirrors his philosophy defensively, and then he's letting that guy bring in the people he needs to bring in. So again, it's a consistency thing. What did he talk about when he was at that press conference, when he was meeting with the fans in that celebration type thing? He was talking about going in every day and doing the same thing over and over again, not take a day off, not have a bad practice. Yeah. You can't afford to do that. The job we're trying to do, we can't have wasted days. We're all going to have to come in here, and every single day when we walk out of that practice facility, from now until we play the first game, we have to get what we set out to get done. So if you're doing that and you have all of these coaches on the same page and everybody's working together, then you can get blown away by the difference that it makes. Right. I think what they're trying to do is turn this from a team that had trouble getting turnovers and gave up a lot of turnovers. I think they want an offense that doesn't turn the ball over. They're bringing in a running backs coach that has a reputation. He's a recruiter. He brings in 4-star and 5-star running backs, and he plays all of them. If he's got 3 of them, he plays 3. If he's got 4, he plays 3. He's keeping those guys fresh. But the emphasis will be, get in there, make your yardage, don't turn the ball over, okay? And so, but you got to have the right people. So again, he's going to have to bring people in. He'll probably bring some people with him, but he's going to have to bring some guys out of the portal. So again, it's all about philosophy. And then making sure that you do what the head coach wants you to do and everybody's on the same page, and the players too. And then when they do all of that, he's counting on this team being a lot better than people think it will be.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see, but it's all talk right now. We'll get to the main thing when the main thing comes over in August. All right, let's wrap up a little bit before we go. Some poking fun, maybe not fun for Notre Dame fans, but fun for Arkansas fans and people alike in college football. A lot was made this weekend when Notre Dame did not get into the college football playoff. They ended up getting jumped by Miami for that last spot. And I saw some Notre Dame boosters and some of their business people coming out on Twitter and saying, basically, or X as you call it, and saying, well, it's Hunter Yurachek's fault because Notre Dame went into Fayetteville for their Super Bowl and kicked the crap out of Arkansas, and now this is Yurachek's revenge.
Yeah, he's mad at
What do you think about that and all the fans who are coming after Hunter Yurachek from the Notre Dame side? I think it's ludicrous, but I think it's hilarious. What do you think?
Come on, if it comes down to Notre Dame and Miami, who won the game?
Miami.
Who won head-to-head? I mean, how can you argue against that? Mm-hmm. If you're Notre Dame, and their athletic director made this ridiculous statement about playing one of the toughest schedules in the country, they played one of the weakest schedules in the country. How do you do that? Does he think you can just make that statement and everyone will sit there and go, oh, you said it, it must be true? I mean, they played a lot of teams that were almost as bad as Arkansas, so come on. And the final point I would make about this, and it's a valid point, and I've heard it made many times over the last day or two. If you don't like this, join a conference, Yeah. If you don't, they acted like nobody supported them. Well, who's supposed to support them? If you get in, guess who keeps your money? Okay, go in there and share it with somebody. Stop. This is not Notre Dame of 40 years ago. You can't keep doing this. Join a conference.
Well, the good news is they might get in next year with the potential expansion of the playoffs. And they were basically told, Bavacqua was told, well, we're going to get a team in every year as long as, we're in the top 12. But who knows? I agree with you. They need to join a conference. But hey, Mike, they are the inferior football school in the state of Indiana. That's all I want to say.
They are, and they should be embarrassed by that.
Absolutely.
That school a little bit to the south of them is embarrassing them.
Yeah, the number one team in the country, the Indiana Hoosiers. I can't believe I just said that on PTN Extra. That's going to do it for our show this week. For Mike Irwin, I'm Evan Kamiko. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you back here next Wednesday on PTN Extra.